It is my great honor to be here and be able to express about how we are doing our business, especially in the area of sustainability. And thank you greatly for the great introductions of the CP Group. Please allow me to go through some slides, and then later on I understand that we can have a sit down sort of questions and answers or discussions. I would like to start by talking about the CP Groups a little bit more. CP Group is an agro-based company. It was formed more than 95 years ago by my grandfather. It's a small shops, a shop house in the old Chinatown's districts area. And as I recall, at that time, this is again was taught from generations that my grandfather initiated, he started with vegetable seeds shops, and he initiated to put the expiration date on the seeds envelopes, so that the farmers, when bought the vegetable seeds, knows that how long they can actually really use these seeds effectively. And he also initiated on the envelopes saying that if the seed is expired, the farmers can come back and then get the free new seeds. So what that actually taught us is that to be honest to our customers and to always think of the benefits of the others as our own partners. So that's a very key teachings. Later on, he's also one of the very first, after the canning technologies came out, to put the vegetable seeds into the can so that it would be much more well preserved and maintain the quality of the seeds. So these teachings tells that our traditions is to always look for innovations, a better ways to be able to get to a better qualities of the product. So quality become the heart of the CP Group business, as well as along with the innovations. Afterwards, my grandfather put the label on the vegetable seed, and the branding on the canning is called the airplane branding. And it doesn't repose very well, with the vegetable seeds. But what he's saying there is that the most advanced technology at that time was the airplane. And what he wants to indicate is that CP Group at that time, which is called Jietai, or in China is called Zhenta Group, is really into the advancement and want to show that we can make the brand that are internationals and the brand that are being trusted and be able to market internationally. So these are a very humble story in the past, but it's passed on from generations to my generations. CP Group have employees more than 300,000 people. It's a large communities. And the investment over 18 countries around these regions and around the world. The annual turnover is about 43 billion US dollars. Again, half of that, a little bit more than half, are from the agro business and the food business, and diversify into the others. There are many businesses under CP Group, but the main business are in the area of the agro industry, as I mentioned, starting from a very humble origins, which is the vegetable seed shops in Chinatown, and then diversified it into the feed mill and into the poultry, such as chicken farming, swine farming, and then into the food business. With the integration concept of CP Group then diversify into the retail and distributions to make sure that its products being carried to the market in a high quality aspects. And for the telecommunication, it's totally a really big jump for the CP Group. But in the 25 years ago, when CP Group ventured into the telecommunications, it's actually there's a comparison word saying that from chicks to click. So it is our chairman's visions that not only we make the food for the body, but we should also make the food for thought. So that's why CP Group ventures into the telecom business. There are many other businesses under the CP Group. Lately, CP Group have ventures into investment in Ping An, for example, insurance in China. Also invested in the Itochu in Japan, for example. But that is, again, in line with what CP Groups are doing. And that is to be able to create the synergies in terms of distributions and logistics. And Ping An is more in the areas of the visions toward the insurance, or the e-insurance and the e-banking areas. Again, this is the countries. I think all of the excellencies here know very well where CP Groups are in all these 18 countries around the world. Allow me to move over to the different slides. Now, as CP Groups grows over the years, especially in the past 20 years, all around the world, the expectations for the large companies, again, this is the size of the business versus the trust from the societies. As a large company, the expectation go higher and higher. And if we go on the trust, the larger the company gets, the lower the trust. And this applies to all the largest business around the world. And therefore, people are asking, so what the large business can do more than just generating and sustaining its own business and expanding its own business, and asking, what about a large conglomerate, a private sectors, what can you do to help support the world agenda, or more or less to help solve the world problems? And this is, the beliefs have been shifting, comparing from the past where, the public sectors are more concerned about the government policies and how the government manage the development. Now it's shifting toward how the business sectors or the private sectors can make that happen with the flexibilities that this have, with the responsibilities, that on its own business, on how it's actually be able to endorse and reinforce all these sustainability issues. Again, this is a lot of what UN Global Compact have been putting out as development goals for sustainability. But you could summarize it into the three circles, which is in the area of social, which is more of the human rights, the values, cultures, and then in the economic side, and that is for the securities, job and securities, well-beings, and then into the area of the environmentals, where it's actually is not the world that we need to protect, but it is our habitat, our home that we live in, that we need to protect. The world itself, can sustain all the crises for 4.5 billion years. But it is the conditions that the world we are in today, which is our own habitat, that we need to protect. Now, with the CP Group, again, adopting the world agendas, and our chairman have been putting out the policies on the sustainabilities. And these have been in line with the UN Global Compact's Sustainable Development Goals. And we try to work beyond that by certainly including CP's own principle, such as the 3 benefits. And that is for CPs, every investment and every country that CPs goes to, we have to fulfill the 3 benefits. The first benefit is for the countries that we invested in. The second benefit is to benefit the people in those countries. And the third benefit is that, which is the last, and that is to benefit, then the company can benefit. So without the 3 benefits, that is again against the CP principle of the investment. Most of the CP investment around the world are in the agro area, such as feed mills and in the source of proteins and the economical source of proteins. And CP have been more or less not only ventured into, but invited by different developing countries or undeveloped countries to be able to go in and invest and transfer the technology and know-how in terms of the farmings and how can be produced the good source of protein with food safeties as well as at the economical cost. CP have been joining as the members of the UN Global Compact as well as the WBC SD, and this is again to join hand with the other private sectors and to exchange best practice and to learn from the best practice as well. I'm not saying that the CP Group knows everything. CP Group is still learning as we are talking now, and there are many mistakes that could happen along how we operate. But we are very open and are very adaptable and willing, to learn and change ourselves in order to meet the world standards, in order to be able to meet the sustainable expectations, not only in the countries, but also around the world. Sorry that this is too small of the letters. This just shows that CPs are being named as, from feed to farm and then to food. What CP is doing is that we are doing the forward integrations and backward integrations. And most of the forward integration is in order to preserve the qualities of what we are doing in terms of serving and integrating into the food business. Backward integrations is towards the traceabilities, the ability to trace back and know where the source of the commodities or material that we are using. Now, may I just talk a little bit about a few sensitive issues that have been happening in the past few years around the sustainability issues. For example, CP Group were accused of making the deforestations up in the north of Thailand, for example, through the buying of the corns. In fact, corn is not the right plant to grow in the mountains areas. The productivity is only 1/3 of if you produce it on the leveled land. But again, corn is a very unique plant. It actually can grow with just one season of rainings. And peoples up in the north, for example, in the Nan province, they actually do not have, most of them have been grown up there and live there. Sorry. Thank you. The problem up in the Nan's area, for example, and in many places around the borderlines are the land use issues and also the law enforcement for the forest areas. A lot of the villagers have been lived there for a long time, but then again, they have been living in what declares the forest areas. 85% of the Nan areas are, more or less in the mountains. And most of the population also stay in the hills areas. Not only that, we are trying to understand the problems. We thought at the beginnings that it's just the issues of the rule of laws and the reinforcement. About 4 or 5 years ago, CP Group promoted the efforts to put in the boundaries, clear boundaries of where the forest and where are not, and then give the incentives to the government or to the police in the areas to look after, how people not actually invaded into the forest. But that perception and support will only come from the headquarters in Bangkok. People in Bangkok do not really know the situations, and that is the people, the whole villages living in the forest area. So then our second thought is that, so maybe we should give incentive for them to move down from the mountains. We find it out that they don't want to move down. That have been their lifestyles and they have been used to it. They don't want to move down and they don't feel secure enough. The progress of moving down the people from the mountains gonna take ages. Now, after I actually assigned and responsible for the sustainability a year ago, I went to Nan almost every month. And I find out that, it's not only buying the corn that are driving the deforestations. It's also the loans being given out by the government loans or the government banks are driving the deforestations. There are no credit bureaus in terms of giving out the loans. The loan is almost like helping the farmers, or more or less subsidizing, knowing that the farmers use part of the loan for their normal cost of living, including sending their children to universities and to higher educations. And then knowing that they were always being trapped and too leveraged by households. And at the end of the day, the government might have to declare, or the government banks might have to declare NPLs and then settle it again. So what we are doing is actually subsidizing the poor farmers. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as well. The problem is that the farmers, not only unique in the Nan areas, but in many areas around Thailand, there are lack of 3 things. First thing is the education, the knowledge and technology. Second thing is the management. They cannot really manage themselves as villagers. And third thing is that they don't have the marketing and they don't have the distributions and they don't really know what the market wants. They used to grow rice to feed themselves. And then they find out that they can sell rice. They expanded it. But then they don't know whether the market wanted it or not. So these have been the clear 3 problems. Now the risk that they take, they are the smallest single households business You can call it a micro business. But they have to face many difficult risks, and that is our, diseases, natural disasters, and they also have to face the fluctuations of the market, where they don't actually know which plants, which products they should grow, because they don't really understand the market mechanisms. So what happens in the past is that in the case of Europe, that's what we learned and we bring in, is using the so-called the concept of the cooperatives. The cooperatives were not very effective in the NANS area and many areas in Thailand. One key success of the cooperatives, as we learn, this is again learning from a very experienced former chairman of KfW Bank from Germany. He said that the success of the cooperative in Germany, which is the origins, actually come from the entrepreneurship. After the World War II, the community's leaders are very entrepreneurial and are with very strong spirit for the communities, so that they can share the cost and the margins of the business they are doing. In the case of Thailand, it's more difficult because the co-ops in Thailand have been under many constraints and a lot of influence by the local politicians as well as the local funds. Now, in case of the America or the other side of the world, most of the evolution on the farming come from contract farming and into mega farming. So the productivities are very high. Those farmers who cannot compete actually were absorbed into different industries, because in America the industry is big enough to absorb all these farmers' migrations. But you cannot really apply that also in Thailand. Contract farming in Thailand is a bit of a taboo word. So this is again very clear that without a kind of co-ops and organizations, without the contract farmings, and looking into again a bigger, a larger area farmings to create the right cost structures and the right qualities and toward the right market, without the organizations, very difficult for each of the farmers, individual households, to actually stand up by themselves. Now, what we are doing and experimenting in the NANS area, what we want to do is that, knowing that they are lacked in the three areas, we try to test a new concept. So we have just recently formed so-called CP, Social Enterprise for Communities. The concept is, to be able to transfer the ownerships to the communities over a period of time, let's say 10 years period of time. But the transferring of the ownerships, where it's come from is that we actually guaranteed, recommends and guarantees what they grow and buy back from the farmers. From buying back from the farmers, we extracted X% to put in the social enterprise fund, and that fund actually buys shares from social enterprise. Over a period of time, we want the community to own up to 70% of social enterprise, but leave 30% to the management, not CP Group management, but the management that actually grow from the children of the farmers, who over time prove themselves to become the leaders for the organization and be able to also have more ownerships, in order to preserve entrepreneurship within the organizations. So this is the concept that we are testing and exploring how we work in the areas of the NANS area. Now, let's step into an even bigger picture. When we want to change something, most of the time, if we want to change, for example, the whole province, like Nan, okay, One could say that it's going to take years, or 10 years, or 20 years. But in fact, if we be able to use the cooperation between the government sector and the private sector, what we can do for Nan province is actually be able to give incentive. Now, the incentive is in two areas. One is, first of all, if they can actually help grow and protect the forest, then we should give them so-called the land use right. Not in the way of giving the titles, because they will sell it all. Okay? But in the way of giving the concessions in order to protect the forest. So if the villagers knows that they can earn their livings and get their benefits, send their children to schools through using the land in order to protect the forest, that would actually change their mentality to use the children. Is for the government and private sector to give the incentive. For example, the corns per kilos at the moment to the farmers is about 6 baht per kilos. The farmer's margin was calculated to only be 2 baht out of the 6 baht. So, for example, if the farmers actually retreated, let's say 50% from the deforestation areas and actually help grow the forest, the incentive could be in such a way that they could, instead of get 6 baht, they could get 8 baht. So in fact, the margins that they got is equal to when they, to do the 100%, but now the 50% are being grow back into the forest. So such kind of incentive. And then the second step is that that 50%, you actually give another incentive that let's take 25%, which is the 50% of the 50%, to actually grow the what you call it, the upright trees, or like growing the fruits, growing the trees that are not monocentric kind of plants. So this is where they actually be able to grow not only big trees but also a plantation with higher value using the less area. Like for example, in the north area, very good for coffee plantations, for example. So with incentive, we can actually educate the market, not subsidizing, but with incentive, to show them the way toward the more sustainable ways. And that incentive have to actually answer to their needs and answers to their well-being. And they are very much like us. They are willing to change and are very receptive of changing. So this is again one of the pictures that I would like to get across as how we are dealing with this kind of problems. And certainly there are cooperations with the government sectors that the government sectors would have to support the programs as well. Now, some could be as simple as giving the incentive in case that you use your one right of land not to grow corns or not to grow rice field because it's actually supply over demand. The one could even give a straight incentive to say that a 2 baht per kilos of corns, you can get the incentive, but if you plant other plants that are higher values and using less land. So this is again, I think the issues is not only applied to Thailand, but applied to many places in these regions and even around the world. How can we give enough benefits for the villagers to protect the forest? and how can they live in balance with the nature. We also implemented the corn traceabilities. Recently, we have announced that we will not buy corn from the untitled land. But in that, we have the exceptionals that only in the case of cooperation with the public sectors and the local NGOs, in order to actually recover the forest or recover the environment problems. So this is again very sensitive, because as long as we're still buying corns, it could fuel the deforestations. Again, CP Group corn. In fact, we have about 25 to 30% of the corn market in terms of purchasing. There are many other players, more than 20 of them. But we are one of the leaders who can actually indicate the change. So what we are asking from the middleman, in Thai we call it the merchants, the local merchants, who actually gather the corn in this case, that they have to join us in terms of implementing the sustainabilities. We have to train them and educate them. They have to also give us a clear traceabilities of which farm and what location the corns are from, and whether it's from the right titled land or from the non-titled land. Now, starting with this, it's really give us, a clear trend of how we're gonna solve the forest deforestation areas, and also it helps us also reinforce not to buy any more corn from the new areas which are not titled or with the rights to use of the land. But for those areas that are already, again, into growing corns in not the right areas, we have to help them, give them alternative and transform or migrate it, so that they can actually move to other alternatives to make a living. And that's again through the social enterprise concept. Not only that we have the problem with getting the grains or the corns, but we also in the shrimp farming, not in the poultry area like chicken and swine, in the shrimps feed mills, ingredient required are fish meal. About 10% of the mix for the shrimp feed mills are using the bycatch fish meal from the fishery. So the bycatch fish meal from the fisheries, we just recently we got this class action being sued or taking class actions by saying that our shrimps are actually related to the slave laborers. And then, as in the past year, Thailand have been investigating under the fisheries and the slave laborers issues. Some of it are environmental issues, but slave labor issue is certainly a very heavy issues. And there's a lot of changes and adaptations and many measures that the government have been put down. But again, even that 10% of the fish meal mix in the shrimps feed, our shrimps, which again raised in the farm, and a very good environmental friendly areas with the high technologies are still in troubles. So again, we are not taking the issues lightly and not saying that it's just a small mix of the fish meal, and we are not even in the the major fisheries industry. We don't even have any of the vessels in the seas. We do not operate anything on that. But even that, we actually take part in buying the fish meal from the bycatch fish, from the bycatch boat. So that is another issue that we are going through the traceabilities. At the moment, the mix of the fish in our feed for shrimps are only from byproducts. And that is from the certified factories. The byproducts mean all these leftover fish, with a certified imported fish or certified, fish that are catch from the right vessels. So with that, we are already out of the bycatch fish from the normal boat, but from the factories which are certified. But then again, the fisheries industry are demanding CPs to also accept the bycatch fish. If they more or less do things correctly along the sustainability and traceabilities, and not involving into the labors. They are demanding that CP should also come back and buy the bycatch fish. And now we are working through the process with the engagement of the academics, the internationals and local NGOs to create transparencies and looking back into how can we actually be able to buy the bycatch fish that are really sustainable. Again, this is not an easy issue, and it's involved local communities, it's involved their engagements, and it involved their beliefs. And we are willing to work with them and to find the best way to solve this. Right now, even though we are not buying the bycatch fish, but the bycatch fish are still being exported and selling to others manufacturers. So how can one company be able to influence and promote and create the awareness and be able to make the change? That is almost impossible, but again, we are finding alliance and we are working with different companies and we are trying to educate and create the awareness. I believe the turning point of everything starts from the awareness. A CP group with 300,000 employees, how can we change the directions of the company in such a way that we can do a full sustainability is practiced in our business? Many of the managers and leaders in the company are asking that, if we are doing this, according to the chairman policies, our cost is going to increase. Our margin is going to go lower. But that's exactly why we have you here, and it is our management, our scientists, our engineers, and that is for you to innovate and take the challenge on the sustainability issues, why we can also sustain our business. And this is the issues that we are working through our organizations. We have to make the sustainable KPIs. We have to point for all these 300,000 employees to the right directions to say that this is the way we are going and this is the measurements we are putting on, and then let's innovate and focus. With focus and working together, we should be able to make that come true. Not only by only for our company, but we can share our knowledge to the industries as well. Again, these are all the sustainable policies that we put out for the case of the fish meals and all the tests that we are working with different organizations, internationally and also locally, to make the transparencies and the engagement of the local communities. Contract farming. Maybe not up until now, you might not think that CP are doing an easy business. And maybe a lot of you would probably say that the agro business are one of the most difficult business, and being monitored very closely. So from feed and from the sourcing of the raw materials, we have to do concern with sustainability. Now going to farm, CP actually have, again, not to be biased towards CP Group, but CP Group have a very modern farming for chickens, for swine, for shrimps. The key reason is because CP Group have been exporting to different parts of the world, to Europe, to Japan, even to America. And a lot of farming requirements are being put from different countries onto CP Group. So CP Group developed the farming technologies and process which actually accommodates all of these requirements. So I believe that we actually have one of the most modern farming technology in the world because of this. But again, then issues of how we can partner with the farmers. So I think, again, more than 60% of the CP products are from CP's farm. But about 30 to 40% are contract farming, working with the farmers, raising the chickens, raising the swine, for example. So the issue is more on the contract farmings. How can we actually treat the farmers as partners and not taking advantage of the farmers? If we are using, our regional areas to manage our contract farmers, but at any time when we have problems, we do not have the appealing system from the farmers, then we never know when the company going to take advantage of those farmers. Secondly, when we have any kind of conflict with the farmers, and we pass the problems on to the legal department. Now, the farmer would not know how to deal with the legal issues, and the legal and the lawyers could do everything to protect the companies, for example. So we need a change in process. We need a change in even the contract farming agreement. We even have to educate the farmers of their rights. We also call the complaint centers numbers, which is a direct report to the CEOs instead of the district managers, for example. So these are all the changes that we went through in our contract farmings, and even in the structures of the contracts, we have been transformed the contract to reflect the UNFAO's guidelines. So, on the human rights, on the partnership aspects, on, how we can actually look at the sustainabilities as well over the contract farming. So we also involved the academics and NGOs to help go through the contracts and also do the audit and monitoring of how we work on our contract farmings to make it transparent. This is different forums where we actually educate our contract farmers, our own staffs also, our own management, our own staff, and our contract farmers. Now, you can see the True logo here, and again, the Permanent Secretary said that I should make a touch on the digital technology as well. In fact, I'm here on behalf of the CP Groups, but let me talk a little bit more. Just now I went through a lot of what we are doing, and it is a traditional sort of the agro-industry practice and how we are evolving towards sustainability. Now there are other changes that are moving the whole industries, not only our industries, but every industries to make change. And that is the so-called digital economy. We all know that the economics foundations, the hard side of the economic foundation are based on energies, communication, and logistics. So productions, communications, connectivities, and transfer of the product's values. So those are the key economics foundations. Now, with the technologies that are shaping the world and are shaping the way we also handle sustainabilities, are technologies such as biotechnology, nanotechnology, digital technology, and robotics. I think, again, many of our houses already they have the iRobot as the vacuum cleaners, if you remember. But in the future, those iRobot would be able to talk and listen to our command and orders. Okay? So robotics is going to be also big in the coming years. In terms of the digital technology, as I would like to cite it out, is actually a new hope. For example, for the case of digital divide. So with the digital economy, and digital divide is not a new word, it's no words. The countries with higher computer literacies, with higher connectivities, would continue to enhance in their sharing of knowledge and sharing of informations, faster informations, and they will be able to actually set themselves apart more and more from the countries that are not. This applies to the company as well. And that definitely applies to the communities and local communities within the countries. As you can see, the differences or the social gaps, so to say the income gaps, between the provinces that are next to the coastline of Thailand versus the deep inland up north and the northeast areas. The difference of the income per capita is as high as 7 to 8 times. And this also creates instabilities. This is also part of what we think we should think about sustainabilities in terms of our country. As we can see, the e-commerce is coming and disrupting many of the business. Many of the business have been closed down because of the e-commerce. E-banking, next to disrupt the banking industries. The loans could be peers to peers. The loan could be in days, in weeks. It could tailor to unimaginable conditions comparing to the traditional banking as we are experiencing. Internet of all things. So, any of you wear the Apple Watch? No? Or even have one? Or your family members? Yeah, because again, I wear a cycle. But my son would say that, well, Dad, you are obsolete. You have to wear a smart device, a smart watch, for example. And my youngest son, at the age of 10, he uploaded his criticism on the online games. And there are viewers of, right now, up to 3 million viewers. And he said that, Dad, all of your YouTube's videos combined could not, beat mine. Okay, so the new generations, they are changing and they are adapting, and they have different ways of utilizing the digital medias and digital platforms, and certainly the mobile applications. So if you look at Internet of all things, in year 2020, the forecast of the sensors devices is going to reach 50 billion sensor devices, 7-fold from the world populations. Okay, so what that means is that a lot of informations will be uploaded into the cloud, and the cloud would be able to make use of this big data and be able to extract the meaningful informations in order to solve many issues. So the concepts such as smart cities, smart countries, smart educational systems, all of that are being tested, being challenged to see how the digital technologies or the digital economy could transform and be able to get across the knowledge and the values faster than before. When you talk about communications or digital economy, it's all about connectivities. What actually communications do? We always imagine communication as the mobile phone device. We always imagine that the communication is for, our business discussions or, day-to-day, talks or chat with each other. Now you have lines, you have WhatsApps and all that. Even more enhanced communications. So what actually communications or connectivity do? Actually, its functions is to transfer the information, whether by text or by language or by any forms of applications. Is what the function that is actually do is not only transfer the information, but it's actually the transfers of the knowledge and values. So a knowledge such as the subject matters and subjects of the business and industry, values such as the best practice, cultures, core values, what's right and what's not, governance. Those are what actually the communication or connectivities do. How can we utilize the connectivities to support and transfers values and knowledge in the most effective way, from educations, basic educations, to universities, technologies level, research and development, and into the economic zoning or the industries development or innovations. So this is what digital economy or the connectivities digital platform is going to do. But can we do it correctly? That is always an issue. Technologies, it's just the tools. You can use it for the good and you can use it for the bad. The good, then hopefully you work on sustainabilities and address many of sustainability issues, all 17 of them or more. Okay. The bad is that you don't care. You just use technologies to generate as much benefits as you can for your own organization or for your own self. So there are certainly always the two sides of the coin. This is just, again, the transformations aspects of the Thailand educations. And I just want to take, a little bit of the time here to talk about how the digital technologies could help transform the Thai educational systems. First of all is the transparencies. How can the performance of all public schools being transparent and being put online so that communities and the parents would know the school performance and at the same time know the school's pain points, to engage the communities, to engage the parents, and even to engage the private sectors of what and where and what they can do, in order to move the school system into the right directions for the future of the new generations, for the future of their own children. So this is the very fundamental things, not only for the educational system, but transparency is the most fundamental things for, again, for the governance and for all kinds of sustainable development. An open societies, to say. Now the ICTs can enable that, but again, it's up to the people who used it, and that is how can we actually engage the market mechanism like parents and communities. How can we actually be able to transform our teachers from teacher-centrics, because teachers used to be the center of knowledge, used to be. But with the connectivities, with the digital technologies, the center of the knowledge have been shifted into the internet. So the role of the teacher also have to change. The teachers have to know about the technology. The teacher have to change their role from a knowledge-centric toward encouraging the students to ask questions and to research and find out the questions, to analyze the problems. So without changing this, and the teachers cannot leverage the ICTs or the digital technologies, it's very difficult for the teachers to understand even the new generations and to actually pull the best potentials out of the children. So the teacher have to learn two things, and that is, one thing is that to understand how to leverage the technology. And the second thing is to understand, to learn about the child psychologies, so that the teachers will not judge the child. Now, how can we actually train the teachers? How can we actually execute the best practice? We can do that with a lot of reinforcements through the digital technology. In the areas of the leaders, the school principals actually are the leader of the school. If anything gonna make change in the school, it's gonna have to be the school principals. So that is another areas. The health and the heart. I think again, the students nowadays, they can learn from going to do community service to understand their role in the societies. But not only that, they can even connect it into the social network to learn how they can contribute to the societies. So all of this is for the students to be able to know their roles and to understand that there are public interests, which again are higher than personal interests. And this also will bring them with the dimensions where they know what they learned and what they actually apply to help the societies, to help the communities, to help the companies that they worked in, to help their family. So there are others, that we are looking at, but a lot of them go hand in hand with the digital technologies, such as the English language, certainly, and in the areas of developing the teachers and getting the best practice from around the world for the teachers to be able to take it off the shelf and teach or do action learning or through activities in the schools. I think I almost ran out of my time. So again, the traditional agro business is going to go into the smart farming, and we all know that. Okay, traditional education is going to go into the traditional learnings, digital learnings, and the local market opportunities for business going into the global market opportunities. How can we actually adjust ourselves to be able to supply the values that are unique, and with the capabilities that are unique to the world market? health, safety and securities, concern of livings, smart homes, smart cities, healthcare, digital healthcare, all of that is up and coming. Any one of you here wear any kind of health wearable device? Okay, at least one. I think certainly every one of the 10 people you meet now, I would say, they start wearing a wearable device. And that is again one of the big shifts. We are also true in the second quarter, we're going to introduce the watch for the students so that the parents can actually track for their securities where they are. The husband would not like it. But and the watch actually come in different colors and gearing for the children. But it's actually for safety. And in the near future, it could integrate the health aspects of the children as well. So the traditional mobiles and computer devices are going into the 24/7, connecting the life and Internet of all things. The artificial intelligence, as we've seen in the movie, is up and coming. Soon, in the near future, you might get the message that if you do not change your lifestyle, you will end up having a heart disease or different kind of health problems without us even know it. But the computers collecting all of our data from us actually can project it, even projected what kind of persons we are, and even without bias and more accurate than we think by ourselves. Again, Thailand is also positioning, again wearing the hats of the president of the Telecom Organization of Thailand, Association of Thailand. I have to make these presentations here a bit, that Thailand is preparing on the hard side, the internet access and mobilities and network. As you can see, we are moving fully ahead on the 4Gs and the 4G Advanced. Our broadband, just for True Group alone, the broadband access will reach 10 million households by the end of this year. What I mean is the home pass, not number of subscribers, but availabilities of the access would be over 10 million households out of 20 million households. And international gateway, we actually are transferring a lot of information. The usage of the data, for example, from social networking like Facebook, YouTube, Google's, the information are being routed through, for example, Malaysia or Singapore, because most of the servers or the computers centers are other incentives, okay, and a lot of preparations ahead of time. So soon, all the analytics work and big data would be done also outside of Thailand. But again, the potential is so high because Thailand, in terms of data consumptions, is actually second to Japan. Then this is only, this is considering Google's, YouTube, Facebook, again, not counting China, of course. Still higher than Indonesia. So how can we actually be able to make sure that we have the right gateway structure, the right data centers, ecosystems, and also the soft side in the area of the cloud, data analytics, data scientists. They don't call themselves computer engineers no more. They call themselves data scientists. Software developers, and the government are now promoting the startups. How can we actually encourage the more innovation in the countries? Contents and e-commerce, and definitely the education side. So these are the very much the area of focus and the infrastructure and the ecosystem that will support the country through the digital economy. I mentioned about this, may skip that. This is one of the examples of how Thailand could contribute to the regions. So if we can, certainly there's a lot of data centers in Thailand already in different scale and different levels. But in terms of the ring architectures of the network and connectivities throughout the regions, there are plans that we're going to work the connectivity through China, through Myanmar on land to India, and then certainly on land to the Cambodias and Vietnam, for example. And then we can create the ring architectures. This is through the southern part of Thailand. This is the first redundancies. This is the submarine cables. So we can create the redundancies here. Thailand can be another data hubs for the regions. And then another ring architectures toward Indonesia and also here for Malaysia. So, and here to Philippines. So this is another plan that would add values and be able to support the connectivity or the digital economy throughout the regions. I think this is my last slide. Sorry that is a bit small. As we said earlier, the sustainability is all about how we actually transfer the values within the right value within our societies to our children and to different generations. This is the same for the company. As we embedded the core values or the cultural values for the company. It's the same for the individuals as we embedded compassions or loves amongst our family members and amongst other beings. So these are the same aspects from the big pictures to the smallest individuals. In the economics areas, this is all about securities and well-beings. How can we actually be able to build a sustainable model of businesses and jobs that are environmental friendly, that are actually creating values towards sustainability, and the sustainable business models that really address the market needs. The same for the company. This is about leadership. Leaders is the person who can actually make the followers or the employees or the management feel secure, feel that they have the right secure life, and encourage them from that base to innovate and to bring out the best of their talents. And yes, definitely for the individual, this is about securities, the life securities. Anything that touches the life securities, there is always problem. All the differences that we've seen and the conflict that we've seen come from the shaking of securities, whether it's at the national levels, whether it's at the companies levels, or whether it's at the individuals levels. All the conflict is always come back to our securities. And with the environment actually as a Buddhist, nature is always changing. That's the nature. And the company have to learn to adapt. As I said earlier, it's not the world that we have to worry about. We have to worry about ourselves and how we cope with the changing world. So the adaptabilities, the company is always think about how we sustain ourselves through innovations, through adaptations. So that's the company levels. And for as an individual's level, we call this dreams or imaginations. So these three pillars have become the core of sustainability even for individuals, but it's actually applied for the whole world and how we live together. So I would like to end my presentations by this last slide. And that is, when dreams mix with the realities through bonds of compassion, great things always happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kun Supachai, for such a great presentation. Now it is time for exchanges of ideas and questions.
Well as in the cornfields in Nan. And I think that the future is bright with CEOs like this because increasingly the government sector is having to turn to the private sector, and other stakeholders in society to answer some of the goals, that we dream and hope to aspire to, which are captured by the SDGs. So I think this time should be yours, so I don't want to say anything else, but I would like to invite questions, from the floor. Are there any ambassadors, any ambassador of Russia, please?
Kirill Barsky, Ambassador of Russia. Good morning, Kun Supachai. Thank you very much, first of all, for your exciting presentation. We know you not only as a fantastic businessman, but also as a great business ambassador, building bridges between countries. The CP Group is investing and upgrading its investment in a wide range of countries, including my country. So my question is, what should foreign governments and we ambassadors here in Thailand do to improve investment climate in our countries to attract more investment from the CP Group? Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, I just have a chance to join the trip with the permanent secretaries to Russia, and under the leadership of Deputy Prime Minister Somkit. In fact, CP is heavily exploring opportunities in Russia, and CP is very convinced that Russia can be in the agro and food suppliers for the regions in the East Europes and Central Europes. And that CP Group also have a lot of know-how and knowledge to offer. In fact, in Russia, there are already many of the good agro business. So we are looking to cooperate or invest with those companies as well. To have the right partnership in Russia become very important to CP Group, because in our experience, to go abroad and invest, most of all, if you're not getting the full support from the government in certain areas, we definitely need the right partners. And the right partners, I mean, in the way that we share the same or very similar visions and objectives, and we can actually fully trust each other. And CP Group is always a company that always look for long-term investment. So that's sort of the kind of partners we're looking forward to see. I think it's all about the partnership and the friendships. But when we go into different countries, we need reference, and we need to know who is the right guy to partners with, and the company with the culture that could really evolve together with us. So I think that's the fundamental beliefs is already there. That and I think CP Group have invested almost about $1 billion US dollars already in Russia, and still looking forward to expand the investment. So I think the area of finding the right partners are very key.
Could I just ask to follow up from that? And what is the role of incentives? Is that a big part in your investment decision?
Definitely in the areas that we are investing in new technology, if there could be some of the incentive, the tax incentives, that would even make things even faster. So definitely the climates for the investment in terms of the incentive, especially tax incentive, I think that will be very key. Now, the collaborations between the countries also very important. Like for example, Russia and Thailand. I think one of the potential for Russia is also to expand into the Asian market as well. And for that, I think the relationship at the government levels also create the right climate for investments. Because we always know that we can always discuss at different levels to get the fair treatments once we enter into some kind of problems.
Any other? Yes. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Nicolas Nillon. I'm the deputy of the Embassy of Belgium. Khun Supachai, thank you for your presentation. Belgium and CP Group share good ties for quite a long time because you established a bit south of Brussels. I would like to go back to the agribusiness and ask you questions about pesticides, which have the reputation to plague the farming in Thailand. So I would like to know what's the policy of CP Group in your farms. Are they banned? Is there some sort of mitigation policy, or do you have plans for the future? Thank you.
I'm sorry, the EU's...
The use of pesticides.
Oh, the use of pesticides. Yes. I see. Again, this is a very important part of sustainability. In fact, CP Group is now working very hard on the sourcing and the traceabilities of the origins, and we are trying to make sure that not only we have the secure source of the commodities or the grains and raw materials, we have to make sure that it's got there are organic ways of growing those crops or those grains. So this is the efforts that CP Group is making. One of the mega farmings are being deployed in China, for example. Another mega farming is being deployed in Cambodia, for example. And for the case of Russia, in Russia, we also are exploring the case of the mega farmings as well. And that is to secure the right and safe resources and know where we can actually trace back and audit in the most effective ways. So this is the evolution of the industry. But again, mega farming have their own problems in terms of not in terms of the food safety, but in terms of how it's deal with the environment, and especially how it's deal with the local communities. So again, CP Group is evolving and trying to gain the local communities' engagement and partnerships. So those are the areas that we are working at the same time. So to have the secure source of the grains, this is what we are working at the moment. But taken what we have been practiced in the past, there's always the lab and the rejections of the grains. The laboratory at each of the factories for the feed meal products are taken the samples. Each of the lots of the materials are being tested in order to make sure that there are no pesticides, the chemicals levels which are not acceptable. So this become a very key quality controls of the CP Group. And CP Group are very well known of that. That is qualifying the materials, high quality grade of materials, and in terms of the safeties of the raw materials. But again, a backward integrations into the total traceabilities that will even given us more secure source of grains.
Thank you.
Yes, Ambassador of Cambodia.
I'm Ambassador. Okay. My name is Sophie, Ambassador of Cambodia. Thank you very much, Mr. Supachai, for the very good and inspiring presentation. And my country, Cambodia, is seen as one of the countries that your company has presence. And I understand that I think the information that I got is that you invest in Cambodia in animal feed. Am I right?
In the
Animal feed.
Animal feed.
Yes, just now you also mentioned about the mega farming in
Yes.
Cambodia. Are you looking into processing as well in Cambodia? And do you see labor, employment of labor is an issue in Cambodia?
You mean in Cambodia?
Yes. Given that many Cambodian workers are here in Thailand working.
I see. In terms of laborers, I think CP have been implementing and reinforcing strict laborers and foreign laborers employment. And certainly we are auditing ourselves, and we also have external parties audits as well to make sure, because we have many factories that are still involve laborers. And this is again one of the issues. We have to not only make sure that the agents who source the laborers are legal, but we have to go into their practice and also our own practice towards the laborers. So I think again this is something that we are adopting. In fact, we already adopted the UN FAO standards, which include the laborers and human rights issues, including gender issues as well. So is the area that we have to closely monitor. Certainly, we have foreign laborers from Cambodia, from Myanmar, for example. But again, into the future, the labor will be more and more difficult to find. So and actually the cost of labor will continue to increase, and I think people will gradually migrate into more of the knowledge workers and the service industry workers. Less and less people really want to work in the factories that are cold and very limited, very hygienic, very controlled environment. So in the very near future, we have to evolve into using the robotics, and how the robotics can help be able to take place on some of the normal workers, especially in the more difficult environment. This is again the trend that not only CP Group but in the agro industry are moving towards.
One more question. Are you seeing that some of the processing plant move to Cambodia, then use labor locally?
Oh yeah. I think certainly. I think the mega farming, the feed mills, and then the forward integrations into the processing food. But again, Thailand is a big base, so we have to find. Certainly, we have to find the areas that is most economical to produce from Cambodia. I'm sorry that I'm not into the details of the Cambodia operation, but I will find out, and maybe next time I can give you more answers on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
My name is Kabiru Bala. I'm the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Supachai, for your excellent presentation. I have taken note of the countries that you said you have presence around the world, 18 countries. Now, my question is this. Among the 18 countries, are there African countries? Do you have any plan to expand your activities in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where the focus now is on agriculture, because we are all aware of the problems of the fluctuations in the oil market. My country is well known in terms of oil production and sale. But the government that we have now is diversifying and putting more focus on agriculture, and we are inviting investors in that sector. So my question is whether if you are having any plan to expand into Africa and especially Nigeria. Thank you.
In fact, this is again a new territory, but the CP Group already started in Tanzania, but not in Nigeria yet. Certainly, this is also a large market where CP Group is interested. I think it would be very natural to see CP Group in the next 3 to 5 years to invest more and more in the Africa regions. I think this is we already started, but with one investment. But certainly we have to study more about what we can do and how fast we can expand. The readiness and definitely the partnership, the entrepreneurship and partnerships in the countries. I would be very interested to be able to learn more about Nigeria's and potential partners, entrepreneurs in Nigeria that maybe we can work together. For Middle East.
I just asked about the Middle East, because it's not, you have any plans there? Or?
Well, I think that is the areas that CP Group are not in the map yet. Not in the map yet, but certainly is the areas that CP Group have been looking into quite some time. We have to be able to learn. Right now, I think the expertise in the zoning is also very important. In the Middle East, the conditions of the plantations and everything is maybe not the expertise areas of CP Group. So the zoning and the relevancies of the zoning is very important. Otherwise, CP Group going into the different kind of zoning, we have to learn the whole environment again. But certainly in the areas of the farmings are the expertise that we have. Maybe we can. I thought that maybe more in the Middle East areas, there already is sufficient supply. But in the countries that have no sufficient supplies, I think we can certainly explore and collaborate, especially with the public sector or the government sectors.
1, 2, and then 3. Okay. I think that's it.
Good morning, Mr. Supachai. I'm Javier Becker, Ambassador of Chile. Thank you very much for your presentation. I was just wanted to ask you related to the same question of our Nigerian friend. In your map, I have seen that there's not a single dot about your company presence in Latin America. Yes. As you know, in my case in Chile, we have a free trade agreement with Thailand with a lot of business opportunity for Thai business community. And in the area now we have created a couple of years ago with Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Chile what we call the Pacific Alliance. That is a big trade integration process for more than 250 million people with a lot of expectation to strengthen our views into the Asian economic community and also to expand all business with the Latin American area. Are you willing to see in the future the ways or to expect to find some ways to do some kind of business with Latin America, especially that we are also a market of more than 600 million people? Thank you.
Again, the CP Group is very keen looking into investment in South America and even in America, but in the different aspects. I think there are already quite a few visits and explorations, but so far it just have not been solidified yet. But yes, CP Group is very keen, and certainly a country like Brazil and Chile's are the countries that definitely CP Group are exploring. That's what I understand. There are delegations continuingly to explore the potential investment in South America.
The permanent secretary is leaving in a few days on DG Songsat's Latin Link project. This time we're going to Cuba and Peru.คุณผู้หญิงตรงนู้น Did you want to ask a follow-up? Okay. แล้วก็เดี๋ยวท่านทูตปากีสถาน
Thank you. My name is Christine Falkenrosa. I'm the Commercial and Economic Counselor of the German Embassy. And first of all, thank you very much for your very interesting presentation on CP Group and True. And I have a question regarding agriculture and also the question of agriculture in Thailand and the possible stepping up in productivity, increasing productivity in Thailand. We have some cooperation projects also with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Commerce. The German Embassy has our agricultural counselor going smaller steps, not quite directly to robotics, but maybe smaller steps before towards higher productivity through, for example, machine rings. I don't know if you know the concept of farmers sharing machines and set up this kind of cooperative, which is not quite cooperative yet. So we have some initiatives there, and I also think CP is already partly involved. So two things. One is the offer that if you want to get involved as well in this kind of initiatives, we're very happy to share and to involve private companies like CP. And the second thing is a question regarding increasing productivity in the agricultural sector, small-scale farmers. What is CP doing there? Because I'm sure you have some initiatives there too.
Thank you very much for the questions. In fact, after visiting the northern part and the northeastern part of Thailand, and now I'm personally will be involving in the southern three provinces down south in Thailand. Thailand are really blessed with the land and the climate that could really grow crops and all kind of plantations. But to step into the modern farming, there must be a land gathering, for example. So the modern farmings, or to industrialize the agriculture, Thailand have to go through the transformations. At the moment, the societies are very protective of the individuals, farmers. So as I mentioned earlier, that the co-ops, some of the co-ops actually work very well, but not a lot. Contract farmings are very difficult to do in Thailand because of the land gatherings and the acceptance of the societies as well as communities. So my ideas is how to transform Thailand is to go through the motion of the social enterprise. Now the social enterprise might not fix everything, but it would disrupt the existing layers of the agro-industry structures. For example, the first layers of the agro-industry structures is like CP Group. It's actually the part that actually process, make the food, doing the research and innovations, and get the product to the end customers. Now, the second layers is the middleman or the local merchants. Most of the time, they are also local funds, like the shark funds, for example. Some of them are good and supportive of the farmers' communities, but some of them are not. So, and a lot of them are tied with the local political systems, for example. Okay. And then you come to the third layers, and that is the farmers by families, smallest business units. So how can we actually be able to create the intermediate or disrupt the existing middleman structure or the local merchant structure, or change their business models, or make them feel that they have to change their business models. So in Thailand, the Ampere districts, I don't know if you understand the Ampere district, next from provinces is Ampere districts. About 200 Amperes in Thailand are under the poverty lines, for example. And again, that could be the part where the social enterprise can take place and disrupt the system, bringing in the modern farmings. But instead of owning it by itself, transfer the ownership to the communities. So it's actually, it would serve the purpose very similar to co-ops, but with a large company, like including CP Group or even the SCGs, Siam Cements Group and other groups to incubate, because the social enterprises, if you just think you want to make one and go do it today, 90% plus will fail to do such a community social enterprises. But with the support of the large company that could cut through the layers of, from the productions straight to the market, then you probably be able to incubate and make sustainable organizations. So that for the areas that are under the poverty lines. Now, in the other areas, the government need definitely to give incentive to step into modern farmings, to the young generation farmers, so they can use more of the machineries and the structure where they can share the use of the machineries. The co-ops, in many cases, could work, but they are constrained by a lot of legal and regulation constraints, to the point that they're not very flexible. They cannot, even though if they want to be entrepreneurial, they cannot. Okay, so the government needs to support the young entrepreneurs who can actually do, modern farmings, or do the facility supportings to the farmers. That kind of companies that are more or less, is actually happens, is already, there's a lot of them being formed already. The company that actually hold all the heavy equipments and the modern farming equipments and give the service to the farmers. But what it lacks of is that it also doesn't connect to the market. Okay, and it doesn't really get the knowledge and the quality aspects across. So without the market, the direct market mechanisms or the collaborations, this is still there's still a slow transformation. It will be a slow transformation process. So under the PPP or the what we call Pracharat in Thailand, the public-private partnerships, we are also tackle and addressing these problems for the we call it to move Thailand into the new agro stage. And this is again the big company and the SME sized company and the communities or the local farming communities have to work together. So I think the social enterprises aspect for the under poverty lines ampers, for example, and then the encouragement of the SMEs for the modern farmings and working with the large companies in order to pull the whole transformations upward, because then the large company will also have to study what the world market needs, or a market in China, market in in the ASEAN regions, market in Europe, market in Japan, for example. So these are the areas where the whole chain have to work together, and some incentives, for example, tax incentive, would help the reinvestment and the transformations, encouragement of the new entrepreneurs, and participations of the local communities, or partnership with the local communities. So-called contract farmings actually is the right steps, but how can we engage local communities and partnerships in different degrees correctly? I think this is the key ingredients. Maybe we can certainly learn from Germany as well, since you are so successful in the cooperatives, and how different degrees of partnership with the farming communities could work. I think that's something that we could learn from you as well.
Thank you very much. And then the last, I'm sorry because we're running out of time, so I can only take these last two questions they've indicated before. Sorry about that. Thank you. Ambassador of Pakistan.
Thank you very much for a very comprehensive, educative and futuristic briefing and talk by you. And we are very fortunate to have CP in Pakistan for last 10 years almost, or more than that. And they are doing very good work, although very cautiously they started their work, but now they are firm and they are growing very well, doing a good job. Taking the advantage, I just wanted to make a proposal, and followed by this will be my small question, is that if CP has a good experience in halal food, and maybe you started with the bird feed in Pakistan, and then now you are moving towards a broiler industry, and hopefully, as I always tell to people from your CP group, that Pakistan has a very good market for halal food industries, and that's how you can also reach to Middle East and African countries from using Pakistan as a base. My question is that you have now established your footprints in several countries in the region close to ASEAN and Asia. Are you, in your business future strategy, planning to have something like supplementary or complementary aspects of making this change of your presence in the region as a part of not only regional connectivity, but also your supply chain sustainability, because sustainability is a core subject of your business. So to keep your sustainability alive, the supply chains implementation roadmap, as you said, but do you plan that something you produce in Russia can be used in, say, Pakistan, and something vice versa goes back to the other countries? In that way, you can also run your business more sustainable and more productive. Thank you.
Certainly. I think right now CP Group definitely is working more on the fundamental aspects of the protein source. But CP Group is very dedicated into the food products and in consumer brandings. So we continue to add the values into the process. CP Group is investing more and more into the research and development for the organic and the healthy food. So this is the directions, I think, of again the food company like CP Group. So I think certainly we have to in the near future, CP Group would have to understand where to source what kind of best of materials and where is the best source of productions or the enhanced productions, like in the food areas. So that is something that is going to be in the CP Group plans going forward, because in the past we have been establishing a very basic fundamentals farming aspects and also a commodity aspect of the protein source. But we are very committed, as you can see in Thailand, working with the distribution channels and creating its own brand, coming up with the R&Ds on the healthy foods and how we actually serve not only to the end consumers but also B2Bs. So those are the areas that we are expanded into. I think you could say that the models that we are looking up to is like Nestle's or Unilever's. Those are the companies that we looked up to and look to learn best practice from them. So we hope to evolve that way. Thank you for your question.
Last speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Supachai. I'm Francisco Fernandez from Timor-Leste Embassy. I'm the counselor of Timor-Leste Embassy in Thailand. Thank you for your presentations. I learned a lot throughout your presentation. That actually I'd like to inform also to you that Timor-Leste is very soon will join ASEAN family into the member of ASEAN very soon. And of course that we for 40 years independence, we really rely on oil economy, so revenue from oil. But now there's the government plan to invest in the non-oil sector. So one of the area is also agro-industry, the agricultures. As your presentation that I learned, your intervention in non-province. In Timor also that 70% our population in the agricultures, and then mountainous area is also 70%. So therefore that I think with your approach, I believe it's really sustainable that can liberate our people from the poverty lines, which is also to follow the government policy on non-oil sectors. So that I heard that a question from Ambassador of Chile, Nigeria, but I look at your list on the map that CP hasn't present yet in Timor-Leste. So my question is, do you have plan to also invest in Timor-Leste so that can make us to be a more productive member when we join ASEAN? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I can only answer Your Excellencies this way. I'll definitely look into and see whether how is our approach to other ASEAN countries, new countries like yourself. Let me do my homework a little bit and look into the possibilities. But CP Group is definitely very keen in Asian regions. Definitely. In Asian regions. So we are in most of, I think, all of the ASEAN countries. So may I ask, what is the population base in your country?
1.1 million.
I see. Okay. Certainly.
Well, you set up in Bali, so Okay, so we've come to the end of the program, and I think my young colleague will tell us what to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director General, and Kun Supachai. May I ask you to stay on stage? May I invite Permanent Secretary to present a token of our appreciation to Kun Supachai on stage, please. May I invite Excellencies, Executive from CP Group and True Corporation on the stage for a group photo. If you may, please.